Today, I'm joined by good guy in the industry, John Donovan, the CEO and founder of Because We Can Media. Listen in to hear about how his company has become a giant in the industry in just 3 years.
This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Everywhere you turn, it's the same old sports talk, the same headlines, the same news, and the same boring information. This podcast is here to change all of that. We bring you hot sports takes, winning sports betting strategy and picks, reliable gaming industry news, and breaking interviews with some of the biggest names in sports business. My name is Ryan Newpel, and welcome to the Noop Sports Show. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Noop Sports Show. I'm your host, Ryan Newpel, here with you each and every time. Thank you all for tuning in, listening, watching, whatever you're doing. Always appreciated. Today, as most of you on video can see, I'm here with John Donovan. John is the founder and CEO of Because We Can Media. John, how are you today?
I'm good. It's the UK weather, so it's always raining and it's grey and it's cold, but struggling on, so it's all good.
Well, I don't know what that gray, cold weather looks like. I'm down here in sunny Orlando, Florida, so I'm looking out to sunshine and great weather. But I'm kind of kidding because I'm very familiar with that. Central Illinois, where I used to live, had that type of weather. Whew, it's a little dull, but thanks for being here with me. I definitely appreciate it. So what's new? So what's new? So tell us a little bit about Because We Can Media. I want to hear a little bit about what you guys do. Tell our audience what we do or what you guys are up to, and kind of what you do in this space.
Yeah, sure. So Because We Can Media, really kind of, unless you kind of understand the name, a lot of people say, oh, why Because We Can Media? It's quite a quirky name and things. And that's exactly how it really started, I suppose. Long short of it, I spent the last 15 years within the digital marketing space, sales predominantly, working with various different companies, big sort of blue chip companies as well. And I suppose working with both brands and agencies alike and sort of, really kind of monetizing the businesses from that standpoint. And I think after 15 years of doing the good old commutes into work every single day and kind of hitting those CTRs that the clients would be happy with, which were lower than really, they should be, but if they're happy with them, they're happy with them. I kind of sort of sat there with a friend of mine and we sat down and we said, you know what, we can do this better. There's something we can do here. The industry needs fixing. And I'm a one-man band. It's a huge industry in the UK, let alone when you start touching base into the US and globally. And that's what happened. It was a case of why should I do it? And it was because we can. And it was simple facts is we had the contacts, we had the connections, we had the knowledge between us. To really kind of go out there and try and make a difference, and rather than just taking all of that budget and just kind of throwing it wherever we can to try and get those results for those clients. It was really a case of let's go out and speak to our clients and see what they really want, understand what their struggles are, what their needs are, and then look at those solutions and how we can kind of work around that. Of course, it was tough because you go from being quite senior at these big companies, being paid a decent salary, to basically earning zero, working with maybe one or two clients that are reluctant to work with you, not from personal standpoints, but the simple fact is we don't have anything to sell. And that's when I kind of started. For the first year of the business, we didn't generate any revenue whatsoever. Sure. It was tough. But I needed a product. I didn't want to just take a standard network that meant we could just kind of run out there and be one of many. It was a case of we wanted to try and establish ourselves and have contracts and relationships and integrations with fantastic brands. So within the first year, we managed to sign up and work with the likes of people like ESPN, Fox, CBS Sports, a lot of the major, international publishers, but very, very, solidified within the US sports market. And then working with a few clients that I'd done before, we kind of I sort of moved into that whole kind of gambling space, which is strange because I'm not a gambler.
Yeah.
And moving on to esports in a second, but I'm not a gamer either. And I think we kind of started working with a few clients. We were seeing some great results, not just with direct publisher relationships that we've got, but we then integrated and actually bought our own or built out our own tech, which allowed us to do a lot more targeting, be more granular from a programmatic standpoint. And then it kind of grew and grew, attending some of the shows, doing the grind, kind of walking around the shows, handing out business cards, generating, as much business as we could. And that just evolved very, very quickly into the point where we're working with, a good handful of some of the biggest gambling brands you'll find on and offshore, because they both have their individual needs and struggles. And then we sort of fell into the space with esports in the sense that it wasn't growing because it was already there. Esports has been massive for a long time. People say, oh, esports is a growing market and it's
Sure.
developing. It's there already, man. It's
Mm-hmm.
huge. If you've never seen the scale of these tournaments and the prize money and everything else that
Mm-hmm.
comes with it, it's there and it's only getting bigger. And as my brands then sort of said, look, we want a bit of the esports. Basically, we want to start taking odds and running lines on esports events. Can we do that? Again, it's got its challenges because some of your bigger gambling brands and that already kind of tied in with some of the major events, like your CODs and so forth for this world. But there's other events and other ways and in reaching the streamers and the online gamers and things like that where we could put them in front of them. So the kind of gambling and esports thing was just a natural fit, and it just evolved from there. And now we are 3 years later into the business. We are sponsoring one of the premium sponsors on Betting on Sports America. So we're going to be out there.
Wow.
We've just been at ICE. We're hosting some other events. We're taking on and hiring new people, both in the UK and the US as well. And it's evolved and grown. And I think, we still stand strong with what we started off at the beginning, is that we listen to our clients. We do our utmost. And as a marketing business, we strive to give our clients, what they want, strive to give them those results and that ever elusive return of investment, which is always promised, but always under delivered. And for us, it's something that we do day in, day out. And that's why we've got 100% retention rate. And that's why we're kind of growing as a business, I suppose.
It's
In
an
a nutshell.
amazing story. No, that's an amazing story. And I think that's why I relate to you so much, John. I have very similar mindset in business. A lot of people that jump into business or jump into entrepreneurship, and this is a little off subject here, but that jump into entrepreneurship just think it's going to be easy. They think, okay, well, I kind of start a business and business will come. You
Mm.
have to work to get business. For you listeners that are listening to what John just said, he had to work. He had to put himself out there every day, reaching out, attending shows, handing out business cards, client follow-ups. I mean, it's a daily grind. And then you're still not guaranteed it. You got to work with those clients to keep them and retain them and have that relationship with the clients in any kind of agency business. I think is important and crucial. And it sounds like you're doing a great job of that. But I give you props for putting that time and that effort in, and now you're seeing the fruits of your labor, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. So I relate to that. I guess that mindset and that work ethic, that hustle. I'm wearing the shirt hustle, that hustle.
Every
I
single
relate
day.
to that.
Yeah. Every single day. No, but it's good. I mean, that's the difference is a lot of people now think that when you're starting your own business is you're going to have a lot more downtime, or you're working for yourself now. So, it's a lot more. You know what? I'm working more hours now, and I'm probably more than when I was kind of heading up big multinational companies before, as from a sales perspective. So it's not a 9 to 5. It just isn't. But the beauty of it is that grind and that work, as hard as it is that when you are seeing the results and you are getting the kind of the recognitions, and I'm dealing with and meeting new people every single day, like you and yourself have, it evolves and the relationships grow, and it's so much more rewarding that when you are taking that bit of time just for yourself, and whether that's a holiday or whether it's just like, what, I'm sitting down, I'm going to have a cup of tea, I'm going to watch some Netflix this evening, just a bit of me time. No matter what it is, it's so much more rewarding, and it feels good to be able to do that. But it's a struggle because the gambling space is saturated, the esports space is saturated, and trying to break through that noise as a marketing business, it is tough, but we're getting there. We're getting there, and we're still growing. We're still evolving. So it's good fun.
Great, amazing. So tell us a little bit about this, the Betting on Sports America events. For those of you listening, I talk a lot about this event. I think it's one of the best in the business. This event that will be held up at the Meadowlands here in just, what are we, a month and a half away or so. It's a great event. The SBC crew does a great job at this event. Sounds like Because We Can Media is going to be now a premium sponsor of this event. You guys are going to be very well featured at this event and kind of have your hand in some things. Tell us a little bit about how that came about, and I guess to some of the listeners, what you're looking to get out of it or hoping to meet some of them, I'm assuming.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm not one of these people that kind of goes to these shows and like, I have to speak to this CEO and I have to speak to that CEO. I'm actually, looking to touch base with everyone and anyone, because again, I'm a firm believer of when you kind of speak to various different people, if that's not right for your business, they might know someone who does, and vice versa. I can obviously, help them, because I all think, we're all kind of competing in the same space to a certain extent. And there's no point trying to be competitive or trying to be kind of underhand with things. So, I want to speak to actually, as many people as we possibly can while we're there. I'm flying over to New York. I'm there for, sort of 3 or 4 days. Yes, we're a premium sponsor. The way that come about was simple fact is I wanted to do it for years, but I just, one, couldn't afford it. Two, didn't have the resource. Three, didn't have the knowledge of really how to kind of go about exposing our brand and Because We Can Media brand to the US. Because, as I say, 90% of our business is US focused.
Sure.
We've got clients now in Australia, we've got clients in Africa, Costa Rica, all over the places, but their core market is still the US, because that's where your biggest kind of sports gambling is. It's just fact. So, I've been dealing with the guys over at SBC. And like you said, do a great job. I'm really excited to get to the show. And really, it was just about having some additional presence.
Yeah.
Amount of exposure. I want to see this as a return. That's not what it's all about right now for me. For me, it's about really just kind of embedding the brand a little bit, and kind of giving us a bit more exposure to the US market, because it's tough. I'm based in the UK. Yes, I've got a couple of sales guys in the US and stuff, but I just can't do the trips to the US back and forth, back. It's just not possible. So, our plan and as the business evolves is to start sponsoring these shows. Starting off as premium sponsors is still quite a big deal for us, by financially, as well as everything we've got to organise behind the scenes. But really, it is just to show that we are a serious brand.
Sure.
We are working with some fantastic brands, and we've really established ourselves as the kind of go-to marketing agency for the gambling and esports market. And it's tough, because I get a lot of people that have been doing it for 20 years and go, yeah, how could you establish yourself in 3 years? You're nothing in this. Yeah, we're not. In business years, we're young. In business years, we're still fledgling. But what we do right, and we do well. We've got that 100% retention rate. We're proud of that, and we're looking to now take on new clients, speak to new people, new partnerships, new integrations. And that's why we're at the show. It's very simple. That's why we're at the show. I'm there again, hustling at the show, giving out business cards, getting meetings sorted out, and taking out day to day. So, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's really looking forward to it. It's a fantastic show. And of course, happy to touch base with anyone and everyone.
Yeah, well, I'm certainly looking forward to meeting you face to face and sitting down with you and having a tea or whatever, sitting down for a while.
I think we'll be having a beer after.
A beer, okay. We'll go beer.
After the walking of the.
After the long day of events, I'm sure we'll find an excuse to have a beer. So that would be amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, cool. So what else? How can people find you? How can people get to you? Contact you? What's the best channel?
So we are obviously extremely active. Extremely active? We're fairly active on LinkedIn. One of those things that we will be kind of bringing someone on board soon to really start generating content for us across LinkedIn. So it's Because We Can Media on LinkedIn, or you can reach out to myself, John at becausewecanmedia.com. Drop me an email. Again, I'm on LinkedIn, John Donovan. So yeah, there's plenty of channels that you can find us. We're literally just revamped the website a little bit, so it's a bit more crisper and cleaner. But we're kind of doing a lot in the back end at the moment to kind of be a lot more, not aggressive, probably the wrong word, but a lot more kind of focused to the market, a lot more kind of easier for us to be sort of seen. And if anyone wants to Google us and it's like, oh, Because We Can Media, then they're going to get a plethora of not just things like this, these videos and podcasts and things like that, which would be great because we can kind of obviously share those. But people, there'll be a lot more trust and a lot more confidence when a lot of brands that are coming into the US market, which is always, a bit messy right now. It's evolving, but it's, it's kind of getting there, I think, slowly. Then we can kind of be seen as that face, because it's tough. The US market right now, from a gambling perspective, is at 1 minute you've got Chicago leading the charge, but then they're not going to get it, and is New York going to get it, and then they kind of cut that back, and then you've got a million different sports books that are kind of all of a sudden opening up in the US, and which is great for us. Don't get me wrong, because they need the resource, and we can help them with that. But I still think that there's a long way to go in regards to the states that are doing it, that needs to do it right. They need to do it well. And I think once they start doing that in the right manner, then other states will follow, a lot quicker than they have been. So yeah, it's one of those things. But as I say, I digress. But you can contact us through LinkedIn and stuff, and go from there.
Amazing. Well, we'll put all those links in the show notes. So we'll have a little transcript of this show. We'll put all those links out there for anybody listening, so you didn't have to take note of that. We'll actually put the links out there and send some people over your way, John. So, hey, I know you're a busy man. I know you got a lot going on, probably got some meetings to jump into, so I won't take any more of your time. I'm so thankful that you joined me and kind of gave us all just a little picture of what you do. You're inside the life of John Donovan. I definitely appreciate it. And props for all the work you guys have done and the growth you've had in just 3 years. I look forward to seeing, the future for you guys. And I know the sky's the limit for what you guys are doing. So thanks for joining us again.
Cool. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Take care. Listeners, thank you for tuning in again. That was John Donovan of Because We Can Media. We'll have the links to him out there, but appreciate it. If you do go to the Betting on Sports America conference, be sure to stop by. Make sure you find John, find myself as well, and we'll sit down and have a chat. So, all right. Have a good day, everybody, and we'll talk again soon. Thanks, John. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Noob Sports Show. If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider subscribing to our iTunes channel today. Plus, visit us at noobsports.com for more picks, previews, strategy, and news. That's knupsports.com.